Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Vale is My Name. And Vale is My Name writes and says, I know that love spells are generally frowned upon when it's a matter of putting a spell on someone else, but what about putting a love spell on yourself? And Vale is My Name goes on to give a couple of instances where this might be a desirable thing in their view, such as meeting someone from your past who is distracting you from your present relationship, or other situations which might tend to draw your attention away from where you really wish to put it. And my answer to this is that I think one would have to be extremely careful, both in what one were trying to do and how one did it. But in essence, I think that there might be certain occasions when, in effect, this would not be a bad thing. But what I would say is that the proper approach would be to do magic to improve the relationship, magic to draw happiness into the relationship, magic to focus your own emotions is not necessarily a bad thing, but not to control your emotions, because the thing about it is, if there are problems in the relationship, if something is distracting your attention, doing a spell to try to correct it may merely be dealing with the symptom and ignoring the cause. And when these things happen, there usually are much deeper things going on under the surface. So I'd say you would have to be extremely careful in anything that you did if you really wanted to have a good outcome. However, to focus your own emotions, to know your own heart, to draw happiness, to draw good circumstances, none of those would be bad. And as long as you weren't trying to over-control the situation, I think those would be appropriate things to do, because they in effect are things for yourself, for your life. They're not imposing your will on anyone else. They have entirely to do with how you feel, and there's nothing really wrong with that. Except again, you would need to be careful, because when it comes to emotions, it would be all too easy to trap yourself in a bad situation because you did not look at what was causing it. So I would say before doing anything like that, to do some meditation, to do some divination, and try to see what's going on and what the causes are, and in that way determine the best course of action to take. But could this be a good course of action? Well, in some cases, perhaps it could. And it certainly would not be like a love spell that you would do on a person considered black magic. But again, I would say be very careful with it, and really look at the situation before you do anything. Don't just make the assumption that your attention should be in a certain direction. First, look into it more deeply, because again, what's actually going on under the surface, once you stop to look at it, may be very different from what you first think. So those are my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them interesting, and until next time, may you blessed be. Today's vlog is brought to us by the term syncretism.
Syncretic. Syncretism is the likening of disparate ideas in the belief that they express a common truth. In religion, syncretism is the idea that different religions of the world all reflect the same basic truths, but in differing ways, and that these differences are essentially external rather than integral to the true meanings of the religions. Syncretism is a dominant aspect of historic and contemporary pagan religions. The hallmark of syncretism is the likening of deities from one area to deities from another. Thus, at the dawn of human history, the Egyptians likened the southern Ammon to the northern Ra, seeing them as the same deity. Similarly, the Egyptians likened Ptah, Seker, and Osiris to one another, seeing them as one, a practice that extended throughout Egyptian religion. Much later, the Romans likened the Celtic Cernunnos and Sekulos, the Germanic Odin, and their own Mercury to one another, seeing them all as one deity. The highest expression of syncretism in the ancient world was the worship of the goddess Isis, which in later periods taught that all deities were expressions of the same divine power, expressed as polarities. But this was by no means an exclusively Isaic view. The short-lived priest-emperor Elagabalus created the most concrete example of syncretism in the form of his Elagabalium, the temple raised to all gods as one.